Right, back live tonight on In Focus. Let's get some more reaction then to our leading story tonight. The election of the new mayor in the city of Tshwane, Cilliers. Brink will be occupying that position. We now get some reaction from the spokesperson of the ANC Greater Tshwane region, Bafuze, Yabo. Good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. The outcome, 109 to 102, 211 participating, and no spoiled votes. One would say that tells us that the government of local unity does not have the numbers now in that council.
Good evening, Thabo. Good evening to your viewers. Indeed, we saw the election of Cilliers Brink as the executive mayor of the city of Tshwane this evening in council. And first and foremost, let me congratulate him for his victory, and that's how democracy goes. And I think the issue around the majority rules has been settled, at least in the context of the city of Tshwane this evening.
And what does that mean for the government of local unity and that partnership that had been forged?
Well, I suppose that what is the most important thing at this stage is the stability of the administration in the city. I think we had our opportunity to contest for the position of the executive mayor that became vacant upon the resignation of Randall Williams when he was disgraced by the Auditor General's report that came out with a scathing view on the finances of the city of Tshwane, 10 billion rands of irregular expenditure and all other malfeasance as far as the finances of the city are concerned. And so we had our opportunity to field or support a candidate within the government of local unity. You know how that story went, first with Dr. Magwarela, and then we are here now, and we are interested in the stability of the city more than anything else. We would want to see services being rendered, our residents being billed properly. We want to see water running through the taps. We want to see electricity running in the street lights. We want to see potholes closed. We want to see garbage removed, and all other rudimentary services as well as tertiary services being rendered by the city. I think the time now to contest has come and gone. We will continue to hold the coalition to account. We are not going to be a silent minority of parties within the context of the coalitions. Yeah. But of course, the African National Congress remains the party with the largest seats in council.
Yeah. I doubt for the multi-party coalition time to contest is over, because they would still want to get rid of the speaker, who they believe is EFF ANC aligned speaker. So a motion of no confidence is certainly what would come up next as far as that speaker is concerned. The question beckons,
Thabo, what would the speaker have done in such a short period of time to warrant a motion of no confidence? Why would they have lost confidence in him? What would he have not done right? What are they benchmarking their motion against? And what is it? What are the grounds for that motion? And I mean, this lends itself to nefarious politicking. It's politicking for the sake of politicking and contesting for the sake of contesting. There's nothing that the current speaker would have done to warrant a motion of no confidence from any of us in that council. Yeah. Any of the political parties in council. And so to want to put forward a motion of no confidence this quickly simply lends itself to a power-hungry a group of megalomaniacs who want to just usurp and take everything that's there to be taken, because they are now able to depend on the strength of numbers.
To use the words of the multi-party coalition, he is a puppet speaker of the ANC. In fact, he's a puppet speaker of the corrupt ANC and EFF.
Well, we could return that salvo back to them and say, when Dr. Magwarela was working with them, he was all good and well. He was fine. He was squeaky clean. Immediately he decided to switch allegiances. All of a sudden, Dr. Makwarela was a dishonest man. He was a puppet mayor. He was all sorts of given all sorts of names to describe him as a person. Names that he never earned or heard before when he was working with the multi-party coalition. It's a funny thing, this thing that we are seeing here.
So let's listen to the, maybe not listen, but let me just pull out what Cilliers Brink is saying there in his acceptance speech. He says, we have to get control of the Tshwane finances and bring our spending in line with our city, with what our city can collect. And this is an important task as responding to the report of the Auditor General and building a financial control that have broken down or never existed. That's quite an admission, I suppose, would you say, from the incoming mayor, that the financial controls have broken down and never existed, actually?
Well, this is typical of the Democratic Alliance to want to push the buck back onto the ANC. When he says they never existed, he seemingly pushes the timeline beyond when they took over the city for the first time in 2016. However, there's something else that Brink said, which I found very intriguing. He says that the finances of the city are in ruin because the city decided to give its workers huge increases outside of proper bargaining processes. And so in his own view, the workers of the city are overpaid. They should have never gotten those increases to begin with. And if you will remember, there is still an outstanding matter with the matter of benchmarking, the salaries of the city being backdated with the bungle that was made by the previous head of the legal department, and which at the time Mokgalapa refused to take responsibility for, subsequently Randall refusing to take responsibility for. In actual fact, that bungle happened right under the watch of Cilliers Brink. And for him to say today that the finances of the city are collapsed by a mistake which was done by someone who reported directly to him as MMC then, is telling of the type of mayor we have just received. We wish him luck in his role, but we will not be lax as the opposition in the city of Tshwane. He can bet on that.
Yeah. So part of his strategy clearly for stabilizing the finances is what you're mentioning. He says to deal with excessive salary increases, which he says were negotiated outside the bargaining and out of proportion of what is paid in our places. So are you going to be challenging his attempt, I suppose, at reducing those salaries, or at least at reneging and revoking those salary increases?
Part of the strategy that the new executive mayor mentioned when he was still introducing himself, before he was even elected, was that he says, no, the staff complement of the city, especially at senior management level, is bloated. There are duplications there that must be dealt with. He must remove all service delivery efforts from the regions. The city of Tshwane has 7 regions. And so these regional offices must now just be customer services oriented and not be able to deliver rudimentary services and other services that they've been offering. And this is in a way to centralize power into one focal point where he will have absolute control as the new executive mayor. And part of it is to sell off the airport. And so he has a wide-ranging plan to decapitate the city, if I may put it that way, in ensuring that senior managers, the senior manager roles are shrunk, or that he rationalizes, whichever term he chose to use at the time he said this, and to ensure that workers do not get increment. And so we foresee that workers might not get their increment this year that they may want to bargain for or negotiate for under his leadership. And this is what he said himself in that council with his acceptance speech.
So going forward then, do you see the city passing the adjustment budget by the due date of the 14th of April?
Look, Thabo, the important thing for all of us as political parties in that council is to ensure that the city is functional. And we, as the African National Congress, are by no means proponents of seeing the collapse of the city. In actual fact, we were calling out the DA for collapsing the finances of the city. And we have been very consistent with our message that the DA is not capable of governing as they have purported themselves to be. It's not a corruption-free party, as they have proven themselves to be. They are not able to manage the city of Tshwane, which has been entrusted to them by the electorate of Tshwane in 2016, and now through a coalition arrangement, because they are now not the leading party in council. They have the second most seats in council. They have 69. The African National Congress has 75. So they don't have an outright mandate themselves to be even speaking about the ANC wanting to grab power through the back door and them being legitimate and being able to run the city as they have been given by their coalition partners. But we wait to see, Thabo, what they are going to do now. This is now mayor number 4 since 2016 that has come in from the DA-led coalition. In actual fact, if we count now, it would be mayor number 5. So they have not been able to secure stability. Whether that's a case that coalition governments don't work is a question yet to be answered.
Yeah. Are you willing to give the incoming mayor at least 100 days to get his feet under the desk before you assess his performance?
Well, he doesn't have to look over his shoulder with politicking, trying to remove him the same way they are trying to do with the speaker. We are willing to see the city go through a period of stability. That's the most important thing for the African National Congress. It's not all about a power grab. We were never about a power grab. A mayor resigned. We contested. We supported a contesting candidate. We also supported another candidate today. The candidate lost. And so the democratic process has seen us lose democratically. We accept the loss, and we will allow him the opportunity to do right by the people of Tshwane. And if he doesn't do that, he best believes that we will be on his neck.
Bafuze, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on tonight. Bafuze,
thank you very much.
Speaks on behalf of the ANC's greater Tshwane region, accepting the defeat there gracefully and saying, well, we'll be watching you and putting, of course, more pressure on you to deliver to the people of Tshwane.